What about another guy? Yourselves.
I already called, and he's back. So, yeah, I called Millie and asked about that. Hand me that letter. I need to show you something. There was an error when I did the notification letter. It refers to, I forget what it was, but somewhere it refers to the amending the previous ruling. I think that just has to do with I used the letterhead from 711 11th Street, and that's all that is. So it's not a big deal.
It must be on something else, the letter you sent him.
Yeah.
Dean coming or not? Dean and Merle? All right.
Hey, Lee.
Hey. Good, you?
Good.
Here's the ones that don't get called away.
So it's me.
Dave's getting called away.
So how are you?
Good.
Day and pop, huh?
Oh, I'm doing the minutes.
All right.
Hang on, I need to...
Sam's gonna do the minutes today, so it's 4 o'clock. Call the meeting to order of the Board of Adjustment. Roll call.
Terry Broxma,
Here.
Kathy Kruger,
Here.
Lee Rivers,
Here.
April Schaefer,
Here.
Eamon Morrow, Dave Annenbrake,
Here.
Deanna Wood.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Item 2, approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2022 meeting. Any questions on the minutes?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it. Call it a roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 3, special exception for relocated residential, 31217, or 3217 Marsh Avenue, Dale and Abby Jungers. Home to be moved from 511 West Park Street to 3217 Marsh Avenue.
They just got your item, I'll put you on speaker. All right, Dale, you're on speaker and live. Can you hear us?
Dale?
Just hang on a minute.
Yeah,
That work?
Dale, you're live
Yes.
now. So, and we have people representing the college here as well.
Okay.
And I don't know if anyone on the Board of Adjustment needs explanations past what's been in the packet, and I'll give Sam a chance to do that before you address the group.
okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what's being requested is to move a home from essentially one side of the campus to another, to the what's known as the old Tradewinds property, be on the north side of that property. The property is zoned residential multiple. You would be able to build this home on that site. It would, if it met the setbacks, and this proposal does meet the setbacks. But it does require a decision by the Board of Adjustment. It does require consideration by the Board of Adjustment for what's called relocated residential. Anytime you move a used home anywhere in city limits or to city limits or within the zoning jurisdiction, you need to come to the Board of Adjustment. So that gives NCC or whoever else a voice in the process. And Dale, if maybe you just want to explain you recently acquired this property within the last few years, if you want to explain your vision on what you've already done with the property and then what you would do with bringing this home in.
Okay, yeah, and what we did is we're actually cleaning it up, and we turned a few of them into some VRBOs, so for like a lot of the hospital had some need for us to, for short-term people just coming to work and professionals basically, and we've been working with a meat plant in Sioux Center. They have their maintenance guys come and stay. So basically a lot of them are short-term. We only have, I think, only 2 students there right now. But, and also we want college students, but like it's not going to be like what it used to be. I didn't know. I've never partied there before, but I heard it's been a kind of a party place, and we're trying to clean all that up. And like I said, hopefully in the last 2 years, we've it's been a lot better since, anyways. And then the house, what we got is the hospital wants residents for like doctors and nurses. Basically, when they have I can't think of what they're called, but just short-term nurses come for a couple weeks, and then that's basically what we're trying to house and accommodate them for.
So I guess I guess I don't have any further questions. I'll stand if you have any questions for me. Otherwise, we can hear from those in the audience.
Dale, the question I have, it's the house to be moved would be located directly north of the existing building. Is that correct, on the north side?
It would be, there's a driveway there. It would actually be northwest. It kind of, there's a garage there. It'd be right next to that garage, a little storage shed we have there.
Okay, kind of behind the trees?
Yes, yeah, we're gonna have to take out two or three evergreens, so right there, right on that one side, be the northwest side of the property.
Okay, all right. Any questions for Dale?
I have one more,
Okay.
if you don't mind. Dale, would you be interested if you were asked to put in like a row of tall trees, like some fast-growing oust trees followed by some taller growing trees that might be slower growing that could replace those later on?
Sure, and that would be no problem. Like I said, I think we have a lot of trees out there. I'm not sure what they all planted before, but yeah, I don't mind any trees out there, actually.
That's all I have.
Okay. We do have a letter from NCC requesting that the move be not approved. And we have two representatives from NCC. Do you want to address us up here?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to this. A couple of items come immediately to mind. First of all, as everybody knows, the college in recent years has been conducting a multi-year, multiple million-dollar building program by which the campus has been greatly enhanced. And we believe that Sheldon is a progressive community and has a vested interest, like the college does, so it's a shared interest, in making sure that the vista for those who are traveling from west to east is as pleasing and progressive as possible. So that would be one thing that we would mention. It's nice to hear that the plans that are envisioned would include temporary housing for nurses and doctors and so forth, but the college has been around, well, as long as the college has been around, and what we have seen over the years is a different kind of clientele over the years in the past. So we do think that at the heart of it, the city and the college share in a desire to have the look going into the city from the west to be as nice and pleasing as possible. I think that summarizes my thoughts and remarks, and I don't know if you have that.
John, before you leave the podium, my understanding that this property was for sale a few years ago, and the college did not buy it. What's your understanding of that situation?
That's true, and I'm sure Adam can speak to that just as I can.
Yes, we did, a few of us did look at the property, but at the time we were, obviously we don't have flush with cash, and so we were committing that money to the turf project. We didn't have any extra funds, or else, yes, we were. The building itself, the brick building, would be of no use to the college, just for ADA standpoint and that kind of thing. Remodeling wouldn't have been sufficient, so if anything, it'd just been a matter of having control of the property and knocking everything down. At that time, we weren't interested in that.
But from the standpoint of aesthetics, you could have
Right.
bought it.
We could have bought it.
Thank you. That's what I need to know.
And then just from the grand scheme of the look standpoint, you know, a farmhouse versus a brick building versus all the other brick buildings on campus. A lot of times, when we have new families that aren't familiar with Northwest Iowa, that particular location, they always ask, when we look at our dorms, well, what about that one? We always have to remind families that that's not part of our property either. Thank you.
Anyone else have questions for these fellows? Or for Dale and Abby? Thoughts? Go ahead, John.
Is it true that the house,
Take the podium for it. You're not recorded if you don't come up, so.
is it true that the house was originally considered to be offered up to be burned as a controlled burn, as a training opportunity for firefighters? Is that true?
Go ahead.
It is, and so, and here's what happened. I was called by Kelly Van Vorst, the owner of the other property, and he had asked for help with a zoning permit for putting up a new home, and I asked him what he was going to do with the other home, and he said he planned on talking to the fire department about having it burned, and I said, well, there's a desperate need for housing in Sheldon. Would you be open to the concept of saving it and having it moved somewhere? And he said something to the effect of, yes, but I'm in a hurry. And so I thought about it, and I remember there being another building on the north side of the Tradewinds property years ago. It was another brick building, and seemed like a short move, and it made sense to me anyway, since the house was already on one edge of the campus and would go to the other. So I was kind of the source of the discussion, but I do appreciate the way you're approaching this, and you understand where we're coming from, and you certainly have a right to a voice in the process. I would note that Dale and Abby, the owners, could pull a zoning permit, and they have a wide variety of things that they could build there under the residential standards, because it's already properly zoned. So something to think about.
Right. And I would say that the fact that the college used $325,000 to go into the turf project with the school district and the city is proof positive that we do want to partner with the city, and it is upon that basis that we would make our appeal, so you would understand that. Thank you.
Ask if they're going to put a basement up.
Dale, would you have any problems with putting up signage to curb the interest from people going to the college, knowing it's a completely different property?
Again, so you're kind of cutting out a little bit.
Would you have an issue with putting up signage so everybody knows it's a different property than the college?
No, we have a sign actually already made. I think it's gonna be put up anytime I have one. So.
Okay.
It's just, yeah, we called it Campus View, but I don't know if you want us to change the name or what. I think that's what we called it. So. That doesn't make very good though. So yeah, I have no problem putting a sign up saying that, yeah, basically not owned by the college or.
Okay. I drive past that property from the west almost daily coming back from the farm. I don't associate that property with the college. Now, I've lived in Northwest Iowa my whole life. My view of the college starts at the corner. When you start seeing the big gray and the red and the white lighting, that's when you know it's the college with the front lawn there. And I've been to that property probably more than anybody in the last 2 years. And I will tell you, since ownership has changed, clientele has changed. So there's a positive. So I think it's headed in the right direction with Sam's indication of maybe some trees for some aesthetic, blocking the view from the highway, whatever it might be, some signage. I understand your opinion. I respect it. I have a different one. So I would like to make a motion with sign out front indicating it's a different property than NCC, and the availability of some trees for some curb appeal, blockage of a house, I make the motion that we grant the special exemption for the house move to that property.
Can I ask one quick question?
Absolutely, Kathy.
Are you less opposed to the project with the idea of the trees, and does that help at all? Does that change your view at all?
You're basically moving a 100-year-old farmhouse into the property, so I don't know whether you call it putting lipstick on a pig type of thing of hiding it. Now we're just talking about how do you hide it so it doesn't match. I guess I would still be opposed to it. I mean, I give Jungers the credit to keep expanding. We're full in our dormitory, so there's definitely a need for more housing, that kind of thing. So, but if hiding it's the best way, I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but just our opinion.
Honestly,
We have a motion on the floor.
Can I ask one more
You
question?
can go ahead.
Dale?
Dale, we got another question for you.
Okay, I can talk, but I can't hear the other people talk very well, so if you could repeat the question for me.
Okay, so my question is, you move in this 100-year-old farmhouse, what is the exterior going to be? How are you going to finish it?
We're probably put vinyl siding on it is what we would do, and I think there's a new vinyl for sure. We're going to put a few new windows on.
Okay, that answers my question.
thank you for the answer.
Anything else?
It'll have a full basement too, correct, Dale?
Correct, yes.
Would it have a side entry for, I mean, how many?
Yeah, the front entrance is actually already, it's like an entryway for the house, and we'll put the steps there to go down, and then we'll also put, then the regular entrance will be there too, so.
Okay, so the city's dwelling standards are, was it 800 square feet? So how many apartments would you plan on putting in there, Dale?
I'm thinking there's going to be 3.
3, okay.
Yeah. Because then we'll have a full laundry, because there's no laundry there right now, so we'll have a laundry too.
Before I call for a second, I think we got a decision to make. One is the aesthetics the college talking about, I can understand it. The other thing is we have trouble with housing in Sheldon, and people are complaining about that at all times. And we got a person that's trying to improve housing in Sheldon, regardless of whether it's aesthetically pleasing to all of us or not. So I'll call for a second to the motion that Lee made.
I will second the motion.
Motion's been called and seconded. Call the roll.
April Schaefer,
Yes.
Lee Rubers,
Yes.
Terry Broxma,
Yes.
Dave Vanderbrake,
Yes.
Deanna Wood,
Yes.
Kathy Kruger.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Unanimous motion carried. Thank you, Dale. I think we're gonna turn you off now, so
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
you bet.
Drive safe, Dale.
Yeah, bye.
What's Beeser's first name? Beeser's first name. Adam. John and Adam, thank you. Item 3, variance request for accessory building for size and height, 3080 Nest Avenue. I think we have a representative from Fatma Construction here.
You bet. I'm Travis Proddy from Popma Sigma Construction, just representing Dan right now. He's going to be building a new house on Nest Avenue there, and then he wants kind of a side shed that's along next to it. So I think the variance for...
Looks like a 3-foot variance for height on the shed.
Yeah, and for... what's it?
Square footage,
also.
Total only allows 1,200 square feet.
This one's 1,900.
I forgot I was going to be Dan today, so I almost forgot about the meeting.
1728 and 1012.
So did everyone look at the plans for the house and the shed? And drive out and take a look at that nest. I don't see that there's any issues there. We had no problems from any, no concerns from anyone. It looks like it would be a great thing to have out there myself.
The shed looks great.
I'd like to use that for the golf course. Maybe we can do that
You'd have
instead.
to talk pretty sweet to Dan, I think.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept this?
I second it.
Call the roll, please.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys.
You bet.
Who seconded that? Wood?
Yeah.
Item 5, this one's gonna take a little more discussion possibly. Request for amendment to previous ruling, 711 11th Street, Neil and Lisa Hash. And there's quite a few documents in the packet on this, but Sam, do you wanna discuss this?
Absolutely. So this item was continued from March to the April meeting. There was no discussion at the March 15 meeting. On April 13, the item was discussed and briefly and continued to today's meeting. You're being asked to amend a prior ruling. Last year's proposed sale fell through for reasons unrelated to the ruling at that time. And there's a proposal for a few amendments they would like to allow the use of the property as a storage facility. The request for living quarters has been withdrawn. They would like to, they do propose delaying the minimum assessment increase of $75,000 to delay it by 2 more years to August of 2029. The board can recommend this, but only the city council can approve this portion of the request. 3, the city or a home would be built or moved in by August of 2029, and a move-in would require another board hearing, just like what we just had on the trade winds item, unless it is a new home meeting the setbacks and code requirements. And the last item is, probably needs some discussion, is delay the paving requirement quote until the garaging has been determined for the future home. So we probably need a little bit of clarification on, I understand the other two, but we probably need a little bit of clarification from the applicant on number 1 and number 4. Number 1, the clarification would be, it'd be a storage facility. Would it be for commercial rent out for other people or only for the property owner? I think from the visit Terry and I had, it'd be only for the property owner, but you can talk about that in a minute. And then the other item would be, what does it mean to delay the paving requirement? I'm certainly okay with you waiting to pave it until such a time as there's parking happening outside on the rocks, and then that should be paved. So that's how I would feel about that. I wasn't quite sure what the verbiage meant of until the garaging has been determined. So I think it's an important concession that the applicants have made to withdraw the request for living quarters. That created some consternation last time from the board and from at least one neighbor.
It will be personal storage and personal use, not
You
rented out or
need to
commercial.
tell everybody your name for the recorder.
My name is Corey Elgersman. I'm the agent for the Hashes. So they're gonna use it for personal use. They're not gonna rent it out. And they don't wanna pave the back, but they have trailers, they have campers, they have things that they would like to park there without paving it until they have a house up front, and then they would pave garaging and have that then. So that's what they'd like to do. If you want to go for a ride, I can show you all kinds of things parked on rocks.
I know you can.
So that's the request. No living situation whatsoever in the current structure. There's a kitchenette and some stuff in there. We know what it was used for. That's gone. There won't be a future request for it either. That's what they'd like to do with it.
So how much storage is going to be on the outside?
They have a utility trailer and a camper. They would like to park there at this
It
time.
isn't going to be a place to park everything then?
They have a utility trailer and a camper they'd like to park
And that's
there
how the more they'll park there.
without paving it.
And what I understood, it would be in the back of the building near the alley,
Yep,
not in front.
yep. Yeah, not out in the lawn. No, in the back where the rocks are.
So basically what's gonna happen is we're selling the property for exactly the same use as it has right now.
Correct.
Only the
Except-
camper and the trailer that are sitting there probably will look better than the truck that's been sitting there for the last 2 years.
The exception is you have a commitment for a home.
And the commitment for,
And the commitment for a home,
yeah,
so.
And extended for 2 years?
From the
that's the
previous
request.
agreement with the
Yeah.
fire that fell through from Colorado last year-ish.
And no living in it.
And no
And no
living in it.
living. So,
And we did, Sam and I went in it, and it's a very nice building. And the foundation is better than 90% of them in town, actually, it looks to me. And the fill in the back is excellent. There won't be any problem with parking that I can see. So,
yeah, not, Clayton's got that big truck and that big trailer he parks on there now. I mean, this will be smaller scale than
Stuff.
that. But they wanted to be forward and ask for permission to park those couple of
Yeah.
things rather than just doing it like a lot of people do. And so that's what she'd like to do, they'd like to do,
it's a good example, and we appreciate it.
so. Thank you.
Anyone else have comments? If not, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the exception.
I'll second.
Made and seconded. Want to call the roll?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6, on update on the appeal of the 315 West 8th Street enforcement action, Wayne and Debbie Den Hardog. I did drive out, take a look at this property today. I stopped there, went in the garage roof is still caved in. There's no repair whatsoever on the garage roof. The back is not sided. There's a light fixture that's mounted to the outside of the back of the house, hanging by the wires. And the roofing on the main part of the house has not been touched. All items that we talked about. The interior of the house has had a significant amount of work. They also put new doors on the outside, and they're locked, so I know it's secured. I warned them that they weren't gonna get this done by this date. But I don't think we should conclude that this enforcement action is over, because the garage is not acceptable, and they didn't make any attempt to do anything you can't see from the front of the street. That's my opinion. It's just one man's opinion. So, any suggestions or comments?
I drove by there the other day too. It's needs work.
If I might.
Okay.
Debbie Den Hartog called me right before the meeting and left a message. It was earlier this afternoon. And her message said something effective. She has it, she does have it rented out, and the occupant plans to move in at the end of the month. So.
I would give them an extension of 1 month to get the roofs fixed. Otherwise, I would consider it to be a violation. There's no reason they can't, if they're gonna remove the garage, get rid of the garage.
Do they have anyone lined up currently to fix the roof on the house?
There's nothing going on there unless Dave's gonna do it.
I don't do anything that's not on the ground.
No.
Well, they have siding ordered, but it doesn't say anything about the roof.
Do you have any suggestions other than what I just said?
Give them 1 month to fix the roof and
to finish,
Finish the house.
Siding.
just say finish the fixes that were previously promised, that way it leaves it a little bit broader. Okay?
Well, just because they rented, that's not our issue. That just complicates it for them later if their enforcement action has to continue and they have a tenant. So that can, one could see that as a smokescreen or an obstacle, but it's not an obstacle for this board.
No.
So my suggestion then for the motion is that the board, I didn't actually send this out as a notification, but you could still make a motion that the consensus of the Board of Adjustment is that there is not compliance, and to ask that this be on the next agenda. And that gives her basically another month, because I'm sure there'll be another meeting in a month to wrap this up.
I suspect they knew that because only pictures of the inside were included, no outside pictures were provided.
The outside from the front looks better to me. I mean, it doesn't look abandoned, at least. So, you know, there is hope. I think there's hope there. It's just a matter of, I think they cut themselves short on time trying to rent it out, but it doesn't
Happened
mean...
right by when they were working there
Yeah.
for a couple of days in a row. I was working out in the same area.
Yeah.
They have been there, but, you know, it's
Yeah.
not, it's kind of a sporadic situation, so.
I need a motion like Sam made here.
I'll make that motion. Extending them 1 month with the consensus by the board that don't feel that the enforcement action has been satisfied.
What? I mean, so given the fact that they've done some work inside already, they put some money into it at this point, and to this point, and now we say in a month, and in a month we're coming back and they did a little bit more, and then are we gonna say another month because it's just a little bit further down the line? I mean, I would almost be in favor of, maybe if you say 2 months, it's gonna take them 3 months, I don't know. But I think a month comes and goes pretty fast this time of the year, you know?
Yeah, I tried to give them the time earlier, so it wouldn't have to come up, but let's, whatever, I think a month's
Are you,
plenty.
Dave, are you thinking like we give them a hard deadline? Or instead of a month, go 2 months? You're thinking just give them more time?
Well, I think give them enough time to get it done. Otherwise, what do we do in a month?
Yeah.
Have them tear down a house that's
A garage.
3/4 of
yeah.
the way done, and just because you didn't get a roof on the garage?
I can tell you from experience, the can's gonna continually get kicked down
I
the curb
understand that.
until the hard deadline.
2 months with no extension.
Well, if they don't have anybody to roof it at this point, they'll never get that done.
That's part of the problem,
I mean,
unless they do it themselves, but
right.
I'm looking at, you know,
Well,
when we
I get you.
do hard deadlines and it's just impossible to get somebody to do anything right now.
if I might.
But,
So the lease is between them and the leasee, right? So we don't have to allow that. We can say, look, you're not in compliance. You need to have this in compliance before there's anybody that moves in. It's just that simple. And then you don't have somebody living in it, you know, but then that would put whoever they are probably in a very difficult spot because they've signed a lease and probably put down a deposit, so.
And I have seen it before where the person moving in is going to do the work to keep the rent cheaper, which the Den Hartogs have done that before, before the house sells. So, I mean, they have exercised that option before with a tenant.
I would say, I mean, in my mind, we're better off with a 2 to 3 month hard deadline than we are just saying a month and then next month revisit it again and then come back and say, well, you got a little further, we'll give you another month. You got a little further, we'll give you another month. I mean, how long do we want to do that? I don't know.
I don't wanna do it.
No.
But you pick the date and let's amend the motion to make it.
So, if this thing runs out the summer, if we pick, hypothetically, we pick August 30 as our deadline,
Right.
Like, if you can't get it done in the summer, it ain't ever gonna get done.
Right.
And playing in the fact of, okay, you farm, so, all right, well, from about July 4, when corn is head towel, you got nothing to do for July and June, and August typically. That gives you 2 months to get the thing done if you're gonna do it by yourself.
I like that idea.
August 30,
A lot better
hard
than
deadline, August 30,
just- just-
Otherwise we keep,
Yep.
before the September rain season.
And then, yeah, maybe a monthly check by, I don't wanna put that on Sam or whatever, but,
That's easy.
you know, if
Yeah.
somebody wants to just month by month check and see if there's progress being made, and then they could get a gentle nudge and say, hey, this is coming. This is real this time.
Chairman of the board volunteered for
I
that.
bet he would love that.
I would like to put the words in the minutes with your concurrence, if you do this motion, that the current status of the property is it's non-grandfathered, non-conforming. So if they don't get this done, they're back to that property not even being allowed to be there.
Right.
And then, because otherwise it's just a normal nuisance enforcement and the whole grandfathering thing is back on the table, and that doesn't help us legally.
No.
So, that makes sense?
Read the motion back then.
It was good the first time, I don't remember. I think the motion was to give them until, have an extension until August 30, and to complete the requirements and fix up the property, and that until then, it is considered a non-grandfathered, non-conforming use.
Motion's been made and seconded. Call the roll.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Who made the motion?
I made the motion, I'm not sure who seconded it.
Kathy seconded it.
Did I?
No,
Yeah.
you didn't.
Didn't you?
No,
I
we
thought you
seconded
did.
it.
Oh, I'll second it.
Okay, sorry.
so you gave motion,
Okay. Sam, any other comments?
Nope. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
I don't know. I knew they'd never get that done.
No, I know.
Todd, I did not break it. It was that way.
Uh-huh.
I
Right.
swear, I did not break
Just
it.
like,
Okay.
the other one is.